Here we go.
Captain America Civil War is directed by the Russo brothers and it stars Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. reprising their pretty much iconic roles, Captain America and Iron Man. This movie is based off of the comics Civil War, and it is about the conflicting ideologies of these two superheroes. Iron Man's stance is that the Avengers should be regulated, they should be on the government's payroll, and Captain America thinks that if they do that, it'll take away their freedoms and they won't let them do what they need to do to keep the world safe. So these conflicting ideologies is where we get the conflict in this movie. As I said, this movie is based off the early 2000s comic book, which obviously I own and I'm a really big fan of. And it's weird to say that I've finally seen this movie because it feels like I've been waiting for this film to come out for a long time. Because when they released the slate for the MCU and you saw in 2016 Civil War will come out, you're going to be like, wow, that is going to be so awesome. But you never really feel like it's there. And once you actually see it, it's kind of a weird feeling. But this movie isn't just an adaptation of the comic book. This is also a sequel to a film that I really, really love, Captain America the Winter Soldier. And when it was announced that this was a sequel to that movie and that it was a Captain America movie, I was a little nervous because I didn't want this movie to pick its side for me. I wanted to be able to pick who I trusted more and who I thought was in the right mindset. But thankfully this movie does just that, and it does it phenomenally. Something that Civil War does really, really well, it allows you to choose which side you want to follow. And what's great is both sides make a ton of sense. You see where Cap is coming from because you don't want the government ruling the Avengers. You don't want them to say you can't go there when the Avengers need to do something, or saying that you need to go there when the Avengers clearly don't want to or don't need to. And you definitely see where Iron Man is coming from and seeing that the Avengers are very dangerous. And when you have these very mighty heroes, you want mighty villains come out as well to try to challenge the Avengers. So you see these two clashing ideologies. And going into this movie, I was completely Team Iron Man, but when I was leaving, I could definitely see where both sides were coming from. And I'm not necessarily Team Iron Man because I think that the Avengers should be regulated or anything like that. I just really love the lineup, but I just didn't see how Cap's side would defeat Iron Man's side. But what this movie does really well is not putting too much power on one side. There's a middleman that is a very crucial role in this film, and I thought that that was a great decision. And who I'm talking about is Vision. Vision's this all-powerful superhero. I thought that he could take on Cap's entire team pretty much by himself, excluding Scarlet Witch. But what this movie does is it doesn't make him the big secret weapon, and it doesn't make him the unstoppable force. He's kind of the middleman in this situation. And when you make him the middleman, it gives everyone their time to shine. Everyone feels important. Everyone has their little scene that they do or something cool that they do. As I said, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans return to reprise their, I would say, iconic roles of Iron Man and Captain America. I say iconic because Iron Man, this is his 6th MCU movie, and for Cap, this is his 5th. And you really can't imagine anyone else doing their jobs because they do it so well. Once again, both of these actors do a phenomenal job portraying these comic book characters. Both of these actors are pretty much literal representations of the comic book characters. I personally think that Robert Downey Jr. gave the best performance in this movie. It's not that Cap did bad, I just think that Robert Downey Jr. had more chances to act. And I'd probably say that this is Robert Downey Jr.'s best performance as Tony Stark and Iron Man in any of the MCU movies. But these aren't the only people that gave amazing performances. Chadwick Boseman, who played Jackie Robinson, and James Brown plays Black Panther in this film. I was very intrigued by this character because I didn't know a ton about him. I just knew about as much as the average nerd. But he is a great addition to the MCU. Like, he is so freaking good. Every time he was fighting somebody, all I could think of was, oh my god, the director of Creed is going to direct his solo movie. Like, how amazing is that going to be? I cannot wait for his solo film. I have the most faith in that solo movie I'm not saying that's the one I'm most excited for. I'm just know that that movie is going to be a home run. I don't see how it could be bad in any way. Now, the solo movie that I am looking forward to the most is one that you probably can guess, and it's this guy. Spider-Man is back on the big screen, and he has not looked this good since 2004 in Spider-Man 2. And to say Spider-Man is good in this movie would be a severe understatement. Every frame that had Spider-Man in it, it was like tunnel vision. Nothing else mattered. He was the only thing that I was focusing on. Every time he did something, anything, every time he said a line, I was just like a little kid. I was giddy because Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero ever, only following Batman, so he is my favorite Marvel character. And to see him in Disney's hands and handled so well is just so satisfying. And what's great is we didn't get to see a lot of them in this movie. He probably has 10 to 15 minute screen time, and that's great because it would have been so easy for them just to pound us over the head with Spider-Man because he brings in money. He's a really popular character, and it would have been really easy to put him at the forefront of this movie, but he's not at all. He's not even a third, fourth, fifth character. He's very not important to this movie. And I know if we would have seen more from him, he would have absolutely stole the thunder, because I cared way more about Spider-Man than I did some of the other characters. But what we do see is perfect. I have no complaints whatsoever with Spider-Man. I'm not ready yet to crown him my favorite Spider-Man on the big screen because we got to see 3 Tobey Maguire movies, and I don't think it's fair just to judge him solely on his 15 minutes in this movie. I did the same thing with Batfleck in Batman v Superman. I didn't say he's my favorite Batman on screen because he's not in that movie a ton. He's a secondary character. I want to see how he can carry a movie, and before I say he's my favorite on-screen Spider-Man. But gosh dang, he was so good. There is something that I can crown in this movie, however. Captain America Civil War has my favorite scene in any movie in the entire MCU. There is a fight in this movie that is at an airport, and it's towards the end of the film. And it's some of the best action I've seen in a while. One of the best filmed, one of the best edited, one of the most satisfying, and definitely one of the most entertaining scenes I've seen in a movie in a while. Because with movies like Mad Max and Star Wars, you have lots of really great scenes, but there's not like that one scene. You know what I mean? There's not like that one scene in Star Wars where you're like, that was so awesome. Like, there was a ton of awesome scenes, but it wasn't like that one scene stood out from the rest of the movie, but the whole movie was just consistently great. This whole movie is also consistently great, but this scene, when I left, that's all I could think about, is wanting to rewatch this scene. The price of admission is definitely worth it just to see that scene alone. I saw this movie in IMAX, and that scene was filmed in IMAX, and dear God, it is so impressive. Seeing these characters that we've known for 8 years. Yeah, holy crap, 8 years. Gosh dang, I feel old. But to see these characters fight against each other is like something you'd imagine as a kid. It was like you got all of your toys and started making them fight, and it was just like completely something out of our imagination. This movie also does a really good job of blending humor and drama, which is not something that Marvel's great at. Iron Man 3 and Avengers 2 really struggled with that. When there were scenes that were supposed to be dramatic, they slipped in quips, and when Ultron was trying to be intimidating, they made him say jokes, and it just didn't feel tonally fluid. But when this movie is supposed to be serious, it really is. I genuinely was worried for our characters, and that's not something you can say a lot. Especially in this day and age, when you have all these movies that are announced ahead of time, like, you know that these characters aren't gonna die because you know that they have a third movie coming out soon. And to have a movie where you don't know if they're gonna make it out alive is really refreshing. And there were definitely some scenes in this movie when I didn't think that some characters were gonna make it. Quick little side note, I wanted to say amazing job to the concept designers in this film. You guys did such a great job. Black Panther's suit is gorgeous, and this is easily my favorite Spider-Man suit in any movie. They don't get a lot of praise, and I just think that that's a shame because they did so great. Every single character looks ripped straight out of comics. And when I was watching it and I was looking at Vision, I was just like, that's got to be so hard to make a character like Vision look really good in a movie. Just great job, guys. As far as negatives go, I don't really have any that's outstanding. And the only thing I can think of is they attempt to have a villain in this movie, but I hesitate to even call him a villain because he's just behind the scenes pulling strings, and he doesn't really stand out as the bad guy. And the only thing that's kind of annoying is I know who this character is previously to this. The only thing annoying is I know who this character is previous to seeing this movie. So when he says who he is, you're like, oh, well, it's a little bit of a waste, but okay. But if you don't know who this character is, that probably won't bother you at all. As long as they don't get rid of this character and have him be a reoccurring villain, then I'd be totally alright with that. I'm going to give my grade soon, and keep in mind, when I give it, I have only seen this movie one time, and I saw it last night. There could be more mistakes or problems that I have with this movie, or the opposite could happen, and I can go and see more highlights or things that I love. So for right now, I'm going to give Captain America Civil War a 10 out of 10. That grade could change to a 9. I really don't know because I've only seen it once. When you have a movie like The Avengers, when I've seen it countless times, it's easy to notice the problems in it when you've seen it front to back a billion times. But for the first time seeing this movie, it blew me away. And it's easily a contender for my favorite MCU movie. What I can tell you is, excluding The Avengers, this movie is definitely the best superhero film since The Dark Knight. Again, I need to rewatch it before I can crown it my favorite. I just don't know yet, and there could be some things that I noticed that I love, or it could have a higher rewatchability to it. I really don't know, but I'm so excited to rewatch it. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, click on the link down below and subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie-related things. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.